Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna tell you about how you can finish top 1k in the ladder for Clash Royale. The point number one, you should have a well balanced deck. I would suggest to have a free to play deck where you should not have more than one or two legendaries or at max one epic. It should mainly comprise of common cards and rare cards. For my case, when I started playing with 2.9 Expo, I had only one legendary and one epic, so it was very easy to upgrade. And this brings me to the second point where you have to master the deck. So mastering deck is divided into three steps, I would say. The first step is learning the basics and basic placements, the kiting, pulling, all the small strategies, all the simple basic strategies for understanding the deck. As you do that, you will be able to understand the basic matchups. The second part of this point is where you will be able to understand whether you have the matchup advantage or if the opponent has matchup advantage. So accordingly you can go offensive or defensive. The more tricky part is the third part, where you will learn how to overcome the bad matchups. What I suggest is you should watch the pro players and see how they play against these matchups, so that you can also incorporate their plays in your game. After this is done, you will become decent in playing the deck, and then you will have to take your game to the next level. You have to learn from your own mistakes. So you can watch your own replays, ask anyone in your clan who is good at playing that deck, and maybe they'll suggest you. Then comes the more advanced tricks that even the real pro players use in their daily matches. So the first thing is making a strategy. Oftentimes in a game as we go, we don't make any strategies, we blankly play in a subconscious way, which is not the optimal way to play. If you want to be a good player, you need to start thinking while you are playing the game and strategize. So that brings me to the next 2 points, where I'll tell you about how you can count Elixir and also keep track of opponent's cards. One of the most important tricks that pros use to count Elixir is not keeping track of their exact Elixir count. It's mostly like knowing the difference between your Elixir and your opponent's Elixir. So for example, if you are up in Elixir by 2 or 3 maybe, then you can go for a push, or if you're down, then maybe you have to play more defensively. So that helps you build that strategy which I was talking about earlier. How you will be able to do that? The simple way to do that is if you count the elixir of troops that you place in on the board and what your opponent has placed on the board, and simply subtract it. So for every card that you place, do a minus of that much elixir, and for every card your opponent plays, do a plus of that elixir. So you will get the net positive or negative elixir trade. As you do the elixir trade, it is very important that you also keep track of your opponent's threat cards. Oftentimes you have, so for in my case, I'm playing Expo, I need to keep track of their tanks. So say the opponent has a Valkyrie and I have to keep track of Valkyrie. So how will I do that? I will wait for 4 cards to be placed before the Valkyrie will come in there. That is how you can start counting cards of your opponent. How this helps is mostly when you are playing cycle decks. It is a very well known strategy to be able to outcycle your opponent's threats or counters. This way you can make your win conditions shine in the correct moment. It is not just important to be able to count elixir or maybe keep track of opponent's cards. If you don't know how to strategize properly and have a game plan for the game, then you will not be able to win matches. So that brings me to the final and the most important point of the guide, which is being able to strategize well. So there are many basic strategies to many advanced strategies that pro players use in their game. So you can think of it, you can say that sometimes knowing the opponent's elixir will help you make pushes where you know that the opponent doesn't have sufficient elixir to defend your push. So that is one of the strategies. And say for example the opponent doesn't have his counter in hand, so what you can do sometimes is try to bait out their counter cards. So maybe try to bait out their giant by going in with an unorthodox push, maybe, so that your win condition can shine later. Another one of the strategies is to bait out opponent's elixir. So sometimes it happens that opponent is trying to build up a big push. So what you can do is go in the opposite lane to bait out some of the elixir, so that it is much easier to defend that push. Similarly, while going on offense, if you know that your opponent has 7 elixirs, say for example, and you go in one lane where you are not pushing with some troops, and so he has to expend some elixir on that lane, and immediately you go in the lane where you want to make the push, and at time you will catch the opponent off guard, so that you can get a good elixir trade, or maybe you can get a good tower damage. So these are the strategies that I would say to become better in the game, to improve in the game. These all strategies are not just for beginners. Even the intermediate players and the semi-pro players can improve, can learn these tricks and become better at the game. Now I want to tell you about how you can practice and how you can improve in these skills. What I did for myself is I tried to play more classic challenges. In the classic challenges, I used to count elixir for a particular period of time. Try to focus mostly on one of the aspects at a time. Don't try to do all the things at a time. You will not be able to do anything properly. So for 1 week, maybe practice games where you are only counting elixir. Doesn't matter what troops, like you're winning the game or not, it doesn't matter. Then for 1 week, try to keep track of one of the cards. Then slowly as you try to do that thing, it will become a more subconscious and instinctive thing, and then you don't have to voluntarily think about, okay, this is one card, this is two card. In that way you don't have to do. Once that is done, then you can try to keep track of more cards. Like at max 2 is required. I don't think you will require to keep track of more than two cards. So apart from that, try to voluntarily think during the match. Thinking during the match helps a lot. Don't just play blankly. Don't just put troops on the ground and think that you will win the game. So that is one strategy. Yeah. So finally, I'll give you a task that you can perform. This will be something like, so today, as you complete this video, go into a classic challenge and keep a track of how many wins you can get, and then for 1 week you practice the elixir counting, and for 1 week you practice keeping track of a card cycle. And do another thing, just after every say 5 matches in a day, you go through your videos and try to find out what mistakes you're doing. Try to see if you can improve them. Maybe your placement of buildings is wrong, maybe you are placing the troops early, maybe you are over defending, maybe you are going too much on offense. So try to see your mistakes and try to learn from them, and after 2 weeks then you play at the classic challenge again with that same deck and see if you can get more wins. I am damn sure that you will be able to perform much better, and this is how you can improve in the game. Okay, bye bye.